Hi, everybody. It's Abe Cerizo, and I want to talk about healthy emotional regulation. For the most part, when people are talking about having emotions and having your thoughts do the work, they seem to think that I'm promoting just thinking your way through it. Well, check this out. When you're having a difficult time working through your emotions, that's when your thoughts come in. That's when you talk about it, like in a way is that, like, I feel this way when, right? That's like the if then statements that we talk about these. And it's really important to understand the difference between being emotional, because we're all emotional beings, but having emotional regulation. So we have, in the therapeutic world, we speak about this so you have a healthy outcome at the end, right? So a healthy response to something really traumatic would be like to cry. That's healthy. But it's not okay to cry and 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 it messes up everything else that you're supposed to be doing, right? Like taking care of your children, taking your family affairs and things of that nature. So you have to get it together somewhere along the line so you can make it through. And that thought process is supposed to help you through it. And that gives you an opportunity to have healthy emotional regulation. I was speaking with this fella one day, and he was telling me how, Abe, I can't help but be angry when certain things happen. Well, it's normal to be angry. Throwing things and screaming and hollering and calling people names, that's unhealthy. So we have to understand what is healthy and unhealthy. And when that person kept telling me that, well, I can't help it, I can't help it. Well, it's because you're not vested in getting better. That you want to be vested, you want to be invested. As we talked about before, you don't invest in something that you don't want to return on. And this happens in relationships all the time, where one person's is doing all this stuff to keep the relationship together, and the other person is having a rough time processing all this stuff because they're emotionally involved to the point where they're not able to see objectively. Objectively is a thought process, by the way, and they can't see objectively as to what needs to happen to make this relationship better, stronger, and healthier. And you can't be better and healthier if you're not listening to what's going on with your significant other or your partner or your friend. Your partner deserves to know how to keep you focused on the relationship to make it a better relationship, as opposed to making it one of those type of relationship where it's just one-sided. Where I've known this one couple for a few years, and he spent a lot of time just arguing about what he wanted, and that his partner didn't like what he wanted, and they wasn't going to support each other. Well, that makes no sense. If they're going to be in a relationship, they have to understand each person's plight in that relationship. My wife and I were watching this show where it's called Love at First Sight, and what they did is that they got or married at first sight or some of that, and then they got married on the day that they first saw each other, and it didn't turn out very well. And the reason why it didn't turn out very well is because they didn't get a chance to know each other on a deeper level prior to making that lifelong commitment to each other. During the show, one or even barely two people kept the relationships going out of like five, and so that's not good. That's not good odds. But what I'm saying is that you have to build the relationship based on a parallel of what you can do together and what you'll be doing apart. And sometimes we don't want to be apart from our significant other, right? We want them to be with us all the time. But it's unhealthy if you aren't spending that time apart to get things done that need to be done for the family or for the relationship. Does that make sense? So we have to take some time to look at that. And when you don't look at that and you're not objective about it and you're just emotional about it, you're messing everything else up. About 4 years ago, this fella got laid off from his job, and his partner, his wife, was the one that she became the breadwinner, and she became that breadwinner and did quite a good job about it. The big however is that he spent a lot of the time being at home, cooking, cleaning, fixing things. He became the house husband. Similar, it's the opposite right role of what women normally do. But this person, he started doing all these things for the home. And then an opportunity came where he could have gotten a job, and he said no because his wife's got it handled, right? And when he told his wife about it, she came unglued because she felt like she was holding up the ship all by herself, providing the financial means for the family to get by. Where if they were both working, they could have helped out both ways. Well, to make a long story short, they got their act together, started speaking in regards to what their real goals were and what they wanted to have happen for their family. And they couldn't get it on one salary. I don't care how much you make. If one person's only working nowadays and you think that you have to have that one person working all the time and then provide all the emotional support for you when you get home, I got news for you. That person's spent by the time they come home. But if they share the burden, and they share the burden wisely, meaning that they can both go to work, one for part-time, one for full-time, or whatever, then they understand that they put something in together. And that when they put that together, they grow together. And then the comradeship gets stronger. And then the stronger that it gets, the easier it can become later on when the real tough times come. Then they can batten down the hatches, tighten their buckles a little bit, and just go through it with each other instead of having one person feel the burden of that financial push to provide for everybody at that one time. Now, I must say, when they got it together, they started doing quite well. And I think the awesome part about this is that when they started talking more in regards to the goals for the family, when they found out that they both had a goal of not just renting anymore, right? They wanted to own a home. Well, when they started working together, they got a chance to put a lot of their money away, and then they got a chance to put a sizable down payment on their home. And now they're doing really wonderful together. See, you can't get something without a little sacrifice, right? And that sacrifice in that particular case was that they both worked, right? And they both put money away, and they were able to save enough money to put down on the home. But that doesn't work without you regulating your emotions. Instead of saying, "Don't you want to take care of me?" or don't you know I want to take care of you? Well, it's understood in a relationship that you're going to take care of each other. One could be providing financial assistance while the other person is providing emotional and physical support around the household. But if you've got to do both and you're not working on those things together, you're just asking for trouble. And you can't guilt a person into doing it because the person can only take so much guilt. And then they're out the door. And then you're wondering, well, that person didn't really love me or didn't really care for me. No, I believe they really cared about you and loved you. However, when you don't put your part into this and your 100% isn't in, then, it's not going to work out. I've heard many times before that a marriage is 50-50. That's garbage. A marriage is 100% and 100%. You put 100% of yours and your partner puts 100% in, and you become really successful. Can you imagine if I said I'm only going to put 50% of my hard work into something? That would make no sense, would it? So we want to make sure that we're talking about the right things about emotional regulation. If you find yourself getting too upset about certain things, or you feel that, I believe my emotions are worth something, or I don't feel that you're paying attention, well, get to the point where you think it through, and before you say something that you'll probably regret, start stating something in the realms as, I feel sad when you this. It works out better that way. Because then you're able to take responsibility to some of your feelings that are happening when certain things happen in your life. And then you can readjust that, so now you saw it coming. You shouldn't be surprised anymore. That means it's time to do something with your life that makes it better for you and your significant other. And if you and your significant other have a child or children in hand, they're watching you. No matter how old they are, they're watching you and how you provide solutions to problems that they may one day face. And who knows? They may end up doing it just like you. So be careful on how you respond to things, because your youngsters are paying attention. Well, thank you very much for talking with me today, and I'm glad that people are responding to me. In the next video, I'm going to go over some of the things that people have been asking me these past few weeks, and I'll go ahead and answer them pretty candidly and pretty much without script. So take care and have a great day.